Well, that tangent went way longer than I thought it would, but that was fun to get to pick your brain a little bit about
Beatings.
beatings, just ass whoopings. At the time that we're recording, the schedule has not come out yet. But I do want to talk a little bit about the NFL schedule because I get very excited for this. I'm almost as excited for this as I am for the draft, believe it or not. I value the NFL schedule a lot more than what the casual or even a lot of like pundits in sports media do, because I think it's very telling right off the bat what kind of success your team can have. And what I mean by that is you know who you're going to play. You don't know when you're going to play them. The famous story that I always talk about, and being from New York, I'm a little biased because I got to experience it more, and I have a lot of friends that are Jets fans, was that 2013 season. There was some buzz about the Jets. They still had Rex Ryan there, and the core was still there. But they opened up that season, and I don't know when it was, but those first 9 games, it's like they played Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Rodgers, Stafford. Like, you just played all these like elite level quarterbacks in a row, and you're like, yo, you're throwing out Geno Smith. It's quiet for you guys.
Yeah, I think it was 2014 because I remember the worst quarterback because I was at the game. It was the Jets Bears Monday night. I think Cutler was like the worst quarterback during that stretch. Yeah, Jets.
And they went like 1-8, and before
Yeah.
you know it, it's like, yo, you need to leave that stretch with 3 to 4 wins. You're not.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Your season was done. So I like to look, when I look at the schedule, Alan, I like looking, when are you going to play certain teams? There are a couple of things, but to start off this conversation, that's the one thing that I really look at. When are you playing certain teams?
Right. I also look at road stretches, like how many times, what's your back-to-back like? Do you have potentially 3 road games, which could be difficult? Everyone's always going to look at the bye week. That's just default. Everyone wants a bye week later in the season. No one wants the dreaded week 4 bye week because that's just too early. If you could get bye week at week 8 or after, that's like the best case scenario.
Well, what about the Raiders in 2019? I think they went like 8 weeks not playing at home.
Right.
Because they had a bye week and they had a London game where they were the
beat
home
Chicago.
team.
Yeah, they beat.
And it's like, I think it was from maybe week 3 or 4 till about week 11. They didn't play at home.
Right.
That's brutal for you too.
And they were competing. Like the Raiders, they were in the playoff until like December last 2 years. That's how it is.
And then also, I think what your layout of your schedule is. So are you a team like the Giants? Are you playing at Seattle, at Arizona? Are you doing the stay out west, which is something that Sean McVay has started the last couple of years, where if the Rams are playing out east and they're playing the Eagles and they're playing the Jets, well, why would I go LA, New York, back to LA, back to Philly? Let me just pack a bag for 2 weeks and stay out there. And you've seen a lot of teams adapt that new thing.
Shanahan did that last year. They played the Jets Giants back to back.
It makes sense, dude. Especially
why not?
You're basically going, when you're going from out west, Seattle, San Francisco, LA to New York, you're basically going to London.
Because you got to acclimate to that time. At 10 a.m., you're playing football essentially.
The body clock,
Yeah.
the time zones change, being on the flight, that shit got to be ass too.
Yeah.
Dude, I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago with Agent Chris when he came on the show. When I come back from Vegas, I take the red eye. It fucks up my whole week. Now, these athletes are traveling in first class and private jets, but it's still like you're just being up in the air and the high altitude. It wears on you. That's another thing I look at. When, what's your back-to-backs? Like, are you Miami? Are you playing at Seattle, at San Fran? Are you coming back? Like, I kind of like to look at those.
You also have to kind of look at what the Thursday night placement is, because Thursday night football is an extremely difficult adjustment to make. And you just hope you have like a favorable opponent. Like I think the Cardinals have the Texans this year. Very fitting. The Cardinals get the Texans on a Thursday night. When it comes to Thursday night football, we know the quality of football is terrible. And boy, that game is going to be over by the second quarter.
Yeah.
You don't think Watt and Hopkins are going to be giggling on the sidelines?
Oh, right. Watt, damn. I mean, dude, you're talking about the Texans. They got the lowest win total I think I've ever seen.
Was it 1.5?
Nah, it's 4. 4 wins.
That's
Granted,
very generous.
An extra game now too. So you're talking about 17 wins.
Like they might be
17 games.
To me, they might be worse than last year's Jets. That's saying something.
Well, the Jaguars were worse though.
I know. Well, true. That's a good point. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. morale-wise, like just organizationally.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you look at when you're looking at the schedule?
You also want to look at divisional games too. I think that's also important, just because I've seen times the Falcons, they'll have like 5 of their last 6 games are divisional opponents, and you just have to wonder, like, okay, obviously there's recency bias, but it's just there's more of a magnitude because the standings. It's like, okay, if you're trying to get a divisional title, you also have to look at your divisional record. Going 5-1 compared to 3-3 can make a huge difference seeding wise. So I think having your divisional games stacked up to you, like stacked up on your schedule, particularly at the end of the season, it could be pretty detrimental.
Yeah, division matchups are always interesting.
Because that record, it could matter a lot for tiebreakers. It could determine whether you're going to get a home or away game.
Yeah. And I like how they've made it where the last game of the regular season is always a divisional matchup, right. So you could not have to worry about people throwing games or starters sitting for the most part.
Oh, wow. Well, we don't know about that.
Why?
Eagles and Redskins. Doug Peterson.
Again, look, a part of me was I put more blame on the Giants than anything.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, but that was just completely unnecessary, putting Nate Sudfeld in there.
Yeah. Apparently there's going to be London games.
I'm particularly excited because it didn't work out 3 years ago, but I want to see them try to pull off the Mexico game. And this one's Chiefs-Chargers, and I think that's going to be something. That's just, I think, a rivalry. It's going to be great for the next couple of years, like at least 3, if not longer, just with Herbert and Mahomes. Remember, there was supposed to be the legendary Chiefs-Rams game was supposed to take place in Mexico, but the field was just beyond unplayable. Like, they showed the conditions on Monday, like, no, this game has to be in LA. So hopefully Mexico gets it right this time, because I think it would be really cool to see a Monday night game in Mexico, especially one that should be between 2 high-power offenses.
Well, dude, thank God that game got moved to LA, because that's probably the greatest. That might be the greatest offensive football game of all time. Actually, it might be one of the greatest football games.
Period.
Because the defense. I remember the hot take that I had when I finished watching that game. We were driving back from the FanDuel Sportsbook, and I just told the guys that I was in the car with, I'm like, fellas, I feel like the defenses played pretty well. There was like defensive touchdowns,
3
sacks, intos. But you had those offenses, like you're talking about. I know it sounds crazy now, but Goff was an MVP candidate that season.
That was peak McVay.
Mahomes threw the 50 touchdowns. Right. So that was a very special game, man. So apparently over here, what I'm reading, the Jaguars are going to continue to play home games in London. And the NFL has pledged to play each year in London. And starting in 2022, so next season, every team will play an international game, whether it's in South America or London, in the 8-year agreement that they've done with the international NFL movement.
Where
that
in
they're
South
doing.
America, you think? Brazil, Argentina?
They got some big fucking stadiums.
That's
down
what I'm
there,
thinking.
man.
It has to be one of those two.
It has to be, yeah. Because I just can think of, like, I think it's the Maracanã, it's called in Brazil. Maybe. Like the big... where Boca Juniors plays, that's a monster stadium too. South American soccer stadiums. I want to take a look because I know there's some. Well, Azteca, we know that. Yeah, Maracanã, that is in Brazil. Monumental Lima, that's in Lima, Peru. Yeah, 80,000 people. Where's Argentina? Mario Kempes Arena, 57,000. La Bombonera, Buenos Aires.
I wonder how is it going to be time-wise? What's the time difference? How they're going to schedule it?
Well, I know that my dad loves watching Latin American soccer because it'll be like 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. They'll play like their version of Champions League.
Yeah, Copa Libertadores.
Yeah, so that's probably going to match, I would say. It'd probably be the same. Obviously, it wouldn't be on a Tuesday. It'd probably still be a Sunday or a Monday.
We're never going to get Tuesday football again, nor should we. Tuesday football was weird.
It was just a lot, man. Yeah. I feel like the NFL gets greedy at that point.
Well, but they did because of COVID.
I get it, because that was an extreme circumstance that you did that.
But the quality was just tough, especially watching the Ravens and the Steelers.
So I do want to mention the division matchups, so you know what division is playing which. And for this season,
No, we got AFC North, NFC North, AFC West, because everyone's been hyping up. NBC had to cut the commercial, but like, if depending on the whole Aaron Rodgers situation, like, Packers Chiefs should be the game everyone can't wait to see. But given Green Bay's situation with Rodgers, no one quite knows. It'll be interesting how they schedule that, given the whole situation.
yeah. So AFC, let's just go through it to give everyone AFC East opponents. You got the NFC South and the AFC South. So the Falcons are going to get to put up how many points on the Jets, you think? 80?
38.
The AFC North plays the NFC North and the AFC West. The AFC South plays the NFC West and the AFC East. The AFC West plays the NFC East and the AFC North, which means the Giants going to have to play Mahomes, Herbert,
Potentially Rodgers.
Carr, and maybe Rodgers. Yeah. All right, so we'll try again in 2022 if that's the case. The NFC East plays the AFC West and NFC South. NFC North plays the AFC North, NFC West. NFC South plays the AFC East and the NFC East. Ooh, Falcons, Giants.
Yeah.
All right.
I just don't see a whole lot of buzz with either of these teams. Like, all right, it's exciting for us, but like games to look forward to. Like, I don't have any Falcons or Giants games. I'm put together a list.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this much: we might have to bet the over in that game because I don't see any defense being played there.
I know, but Daniel Jones will give a couple turnovers.
Yeah, all right. So defense can put up points too.
Whoever Falcons player decides to emerge defensively this year, that isn't Grady Jarrett or Deion Jones.
And then we got NFC West plays the AFC South and NFC North.
Right. One thing I noticed with the schedule, the Chiefs, all their big time games, they're home for. We're talking about home against the Bills, home against the Packers, home against the Browns. Like, I don't know how they benefit so much, but you're talking about the two playoff games, and then arguably the biggest challenge against Green Bay, they're home for. Mm-hmm. And we all know how big of a home field advantage Arrowhead is. But the Browns one sticks out in particular because Odell's going to be back for this one. I think obviously the Chiefs they won't be as well rested. We don't know about the bye situation, but you assume the Browns, hopefully it'll be there's not going to be 2 weeks of waiting for the Chiefs in this scenario. But I really enjoyed that playoff game. I think that one gets slept on. I think because Mahomes got injured, but Chiefs Browns, remember that controversial call with Daniel Sorensen at the goal line? I think if the Browns a little bit more consistent defensively, I think that one against the Chiefs, that could be a doozy.
Yeah. I looked at staying with that division, I looked at the Raiders schedule. And one of the reasons why is because they have home games against the Ravens, Bengals, Eagles, Washington, and Dolphins. I'm curious to see if the Vegas flu is going to spill into the NFL. Because the Golden Knights, when they first went to Vegas, I think they lost 3 games at home all year. And then they ended up going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. One of the reasons why is because you're in Vegas.
Yeah.
And if you're there for a couple of days,
right.
You're not going to be in your room, Alan.
Yeah.
You're going to go and rage.
Right.
And I'm curious to see. We didn't get to experience this last year. Granted, the players did go to Vegas. They were physically there, but nothing was open like it's going to be now. So I'm fascinated to see if we could take advantage of some of the betting lines there, if that's going to be built into it, because I think it's very, very interesting to see how that plays out.
I forgot who. I know they upset New Orleans on Monday night early. It was a week 2 game. I'm trying to remember. The Raiders definitely stuck up on some teams last year. They've done it for the last 2 years.
Dude, they played the Chiefs well last year. They played that one primetime game at home that they lost.
And then they won.
And then they beat them in Arrowhead.
So I'm trying to think of teams that went to Vegas. I remember the Bucks handled them pretty good, but I just remember that Monday night game against the Saints because everyone was hyping up the Saints, and then I think that was one of the more notable times where Drew Brees looked absolutely shot, and people were like, "Oh, we don't know about the Saints contending this year." So, but no, they're definitely let's see what the cause of effect of playing in Las Vegas will be. It's just the Raiders are kind of off everyone's radar, just given that division. I do want to mention we were talking about games before, like just the whole week 17 setup, not week 17, excuse me, just the whole extra game set where like you see these two teams be paired up. You know, one of those games I saw was Rams Ravens, and one thing that really just caught my interest about that game was, I think, if you remember that Monday night game in 2019, that was the first time I've seen the Rams under Sean McVay just get pulverized. I've never seen them get embarrassed like
We were
that.
talking about ass whoopings before. That was an ass whooping.
Like, that was peak Baltimore, and that was like, oh wow, the Rams. This is the demise of the Rams for a little bit, and you know they didn't even make the playoffs that year. So those two teams are playing. Expectations couldn't be higher with the Rams right now, and the Ravens. I think they're kind of in a position where they know they're contenders, but they kind of know they have to make some strides in order to like seriously contend, because they're a step behind a couple of teams right now. You look at look at Kansas City and Buffalo. So I think both teams are facing huge amount of pressure. So I think Rams Ravens, that should be a real fascinating matchup.
Have you noticed how late the Super Bowl is going to be this year? It's the day before Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
It's going to be the latest the Super Bowl has ever been played.
well, that's the schedule now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The playoffs are going to start when the divisional round usually is. And yeah, that extra game. So this is technically going to be the biggest NFL season ever. The most games ever played. You know, you were talking about the Rams. They're going to be opening up their new stadium to fans also. So that's going to be interesting. You know, it got to suck if you're I mean, look, I'm going to feel bad for billionaires. I get it. And especially like Arsenal fans and all the Superliga folks are not that fond of
Stan Kroenke. Yeah,
But you got to feel for like the Chargers, Rams, the Raiders that open up these new stadiums, and then you get hit with COVID.
Yeah.
So you can't even enjoy the luxuries of having a new stadium. I know over the weekend there was 70+ thousand people for Canelo's fight. So Jerry World is like rocking. But there was another game that really jumped out to me. Well, two of them, they feature the same team, but you got Brady's going back to New England this year. And then you also have Cam going back to Carolina. Now, when is that game going to be played? Is Mac Jones going to be in for Cam? That's going to be up to see.
Yeah, I just don't find the Patriots interesting right now. Like, those games obviously have storylines, but I don't think the Patriots, like, they don't excite me right now. I did not care for their offseason one bit, and I still think they're a roster that just screams. I was about to say 8-8. 8-8 does not exist anymore. 9-8 or 8-9, like, I don't know. I just don't see the buzz. But I understand the magnitude of Brady coming back. You know, it's going to be a week of storylines. And that also means the Saints play the Patriots. And I just wonder, both teams, what their QB situations would be like. Will it be Jameis against Cam? Will it be Taysom Hill against Mac Jones? And you got Belichick, Peyton, like two of the most cold-blooded coaches in the league. Like, that's a cool matchup, even though I don't think either team's going to contend this year. And I don't know what their rosters are looking like. But, you know, the fact that the NFC South is playing the AFC East opens some things up.
There's also going to be a Jaguars-Bengals matchup that I'm kind of interested in, depending on when it is, just because of Burrow.
You know, I do like that mention because I put on my list 49ers-Bears, and just to see, are we going to get Lance Fields and San Francisco, are they going to regret passing up on Fields? You know, we're going to see what that's going to be like for the next couple of years, because they were pretty John Lynch, just based on everything he said in press conference, they were really definitive on taking Trey Lance, so will they have to eat their words on, you know, passing up on Fields? And you know, there's a lot of pressure in Chicago right now. You just hope Fields gets on the field early, because like some of these organizations, whenever they get get a high pick rookie quarterback coming in, like they always say, oh, the veteran's gonna play, and we're gonna only gonna put him on the field when he's ready. And then within 2-3 weeks, it's like, all right, we got to get him on the field. Or even in Houston's case, I'll never forget, they didn't think Deshaun Watson was ready to start, and they played Tom Savage, and he got sacked like 9 times against the Jaguars, and Deshaun Watson in the fourth quarter is already playing. Like, week 2, he's named the starter. It's like, all right, we kind of knew it was
the Macho Man Tommy Savage, baby. That was my guy.
Yeah.
I fucked with him.
Like, who could forget, though, Pat Shurmur and the Giants, like, after 2 weeks, all right, we got to get Daniel Jones.